Good afternoon. Happy sunny Tech Tuesday. In today's after school session, I'm going to be talking about creating individual student handouts in Lumio and how you can import things like PDFs, slides, or just build individual student handouts right within Lumio using some of their embedded manipulatives and graphic organizers. So I'm here in my Lumio interface, ready to get started, and I'll just click on the big green button to start a new activity. So from here, I, of course, always have all of these options to choose from to start building a new Lumio lesson, and keeping in mind that a Lumio lesson is like a slideshow. So the first thing I choose from here would just be the first slide in that presentation. And I could choose several things from these options to actually put together in one student presentation. So that's this beginning screen. It gives you all of those little options that you have that you can create some lesson content out of. And I'm going to actually use the import resource for this first one and show you how we can bring in a PDF and make it into something that students can work with a little bit. So I have a PDF worksheet stored on my computer. So I'm just going to go into my local storage. Now you'll notice I can also access Google Drive directly from here. So this doesn't just mean your Lumio folder and drive, it means your whole Google Drive. So images and slideshows and docs and all kinds of things that you have stored in your Google Drive can also be imported onto a Lumio slide. I'm going to grab this PDF off my computer. When Lumio is importing something that has multiple pages, so if it's a slide with multiple slides or a PDF like this with multiple pages, it will detect those and it will actually give you an opportunity to decide if you want to import everything. So on this screen, it's showing me all of the pages that it's found in my PDF and asking me to confirm which I would like to import. I'm going to untoggle the ones that are answer key related, and then go ahead and add this into my Lumio file. So this was an 8.5 by 11 paper worksheet. And as you can see, Lumio has adapted itself to that perspective. So my pages are appearing normally here. You have down here in the lower left a zoom control where you can zoom in and out. The students would have this control in their view, and then a standard mouse button zooms in and out too. So this has put each page of the PDF into a slide in my Lumio presentation. These come in like a big image. So this is not different from how PDFs are imported into other applications as well. So if you ever put one into a Google Slides, same thing. It's really bringing this text in as a picture. So this isn't editable. I could unlock this, and it's going to give me this big warning here to let me know that the custom lock behavior might not work after I perform this. This is really more connected to if you had objects that you had grouped together in Smart Notebook. When you unlock that whole group up in Lumio, you wouldn't be able to group those objects back together without putting that file back into Notebook. For something like this, because it's seeing it as just one big object, I can unlock it safely and adjust it if I choose, and then go ahead and relock it with that little menu. So once you make any edits to this, it officially converts to Lumio, and then we get the duplicate copy, and then that lovely infinite cloner, which is my favorite thing about smart products. And then the ability, of course, to lock this down, which in this case, if this is just going to go out as is and have students inserting text in here, then I'm going to want to have this locked for sure. So this is um, worksheets imported, ready to go digital format, and I'm in the editing mode. So at this point, I could add text in if I wanted. I could put in some images and adjust, but again, I can't change anything about what's here on the page, this is just being seen as a large image. So over here, I'm just going to close this guy, is my magic button to take this. So you'll notice down at the bottom, it's saying this page is view only on student devices. I want to turn this into something that the students are not just viewing, that they're doing something with. So we're going to go ahead and hit the magic wand. And this is where I can convert this to an individual handout, a group workspace, or even a whole class whiteboard. So we'll do some of each of these so that we can see what they look like from that student view also. And I'm just going to do this one first as an individual student handout. So as soon as I make it an individual student handout, I get this big gray box and a little preview button. So this is taken now out of my editing capabilities. If I wanted to change this, I can go back in and edit it, but it's going to take out any work students have done. So you wouldn't want to edit an activity after you had launched it with your students. Once I finish editing, then I go ahead with the magic wand, turn it into that individual student handout. Now it's ready for me to share it with my students. I'm just going to go ahead to the second page, and we'll turn this one into a group workspace. So this one's going to be tricky to show you without a bunch of kids signed into my Hello Smart, because the group workspace will actually let you split kids up into groups to work on their own copy of this. So where the individual handouts is going to give each student their own working copy of that they'll be working on when they're doing it in class, the group workspace would actually give one document to groups of them, and you can choose the groups yourself as well. I'm going to go ahead and set this third one to the whole class whiteboard. So this would be full on. We all have edit access to this slide. Would be exactly the same as having everyone on a Google Slides or another shared document where you're all interacting and editing live. So those are the three different ways that you can turn just a regular page or document or something into an interactive activity. These are pretty basic. Obviously, the students are only going to be putting in text, but when we start putting in objects with infinite cloners, looking at some of the digital manipulatives they have, like base 10 blocks, that you can go ahead and build into a slideshow and give each students their own working copy. So let's look back at the individual student handout. And if we hit the preview button, we can see what this looks like from the student perspective. It's not super exciting, but right off the hop, it's a lot clearer in this student view. And then over here on the left-hand side is the editor tools that they have access to. So the hand isn't going to do anything because I haven't given them anything to move around on this particular activity. We've got the smart assortment of pen tools. There's some colors to choose from. And if you want to get really creative, you can even make your own colors, choose what kind of pen you're using. So maybe we want to highlight something. And this is each individual student is doing this on their own screen. So if Sally has highlighted this yellow, Tommy does not see that on his screen. However, you as the teacher will see everything everybody's doing on your student screen when this lesson has been launched. So I'm in preview mode. I'm not in the launched mode, but we will have a look at that in just a minute here. So these, again, as I say, this is the tools that the students have that they can use. There's the eraser. We can go back and get rid of that mess I made there with that highlighter. They can add images. You'll see this little note here saying, I can't look at this during preview right now, but when the students are in here, they can. It gives them a safe Bing search that they can just search something, and then they can also upload an image from their device. There's a text typing box. If they want to go in here and put in some answers, I can put my answer, go back to the hand, and put my answer where it belongs. So these little things you may need to show the kids a little bit about it, but it's pretty easy to manipulate. Pretty easy to manipulate, and the editor tools are very simple, so it's not super robust. You can't do anything crazy with it, but it's also very easy to use. One little tip you may or may not know, your students probably do. When you're looking at anything that's in the Google Chrome browser, if you want to get rid of this extra real estate at the top and view your tab in full screen, you can just hit the F11 key on your keyboard, and that will make that full screen. It's giving me that little reminder to press F11 again when I want to go out. So that is a little tip for when you're projecting things or sharing in a meeting like this, how to get rid of those address bars at the top. That little X will appear if you hover close to the top to go back out of that full screen view. So that is the individual student handout. As I say, this one allows you to do students in groups. So same thing, just that it's not an individual copy for everybody. You on the teacher side would see their group progress, of course. And then this one gives them access to all full on edit on that one single slide. So everybody would see everybody's live edits. Those are how you can set that up. So remember, that was that little magic wand after I've imported something into Lumio. The little magic wand is how I can go ahead and turn that into one of these types of activities for my students. It could very well be that I have pages that are meant to just be view only and others that would be interactive. And if I have little guys, I may even choose to record some instructional audio for them that they could play at will when they're working through this presentation. Once I'm happy with my file, I can click Finish Editing, and that's going to put it away here into my library. Remember that all of these things are also stored in your Google Drive in a Lumio folder, so you can always access them directly from the Lumio interface. As you can see, I have mine bookmarked up here for easy access, but you can also come through Drive for those things when you're looking for them. I find it much easier to see all of my Lumio stuff in one place like this. So from here, this activity that I just finished creating for students, when you hover over, you see you have the start and the edit buttons, fairly self-explanatory. Starting the lesson is going to launch this for my class. That means that it is live, and as students log in, I'm going to see their little, this number here is going to increase. I can actually see here it's retaining my last session where my son was logged in. So it's showing me that Carter is in this. And my lesson pacing is set to teacher right now. So this means the kids go to hellosmart.com. They log in with my class ID. This never changes. So once your students have been into hellosmart.com with your class ID. If they haven't been in another one, that should actually retain for some time. Also, you could have this code posted somewhere for the students in the classroom or in your Google Classroom, and it won't change. So they can always go back and access it and get into your Hello Smart from anywhere just using that 6-digit code. There is a way to reset it in the Lumio interface if you need to do that for any reason also. And then this is, I just clicked this little pop-out button here, and this is how you could just project that up live for the class. So this is set, as I said, to teacher paced, which means the students are seeing a screen right now with this handout on it, and they have the ability to make their edits and do what they want. I can see their progress by clicking this student progress button. Of course, there aren't actually any students doing anything right now, but it will tell me that the students will appear here once they've connected. If I'm wondering which page this is, or I need to see what the handout looks like, there's a handy button down there that'll just open that up. I can close it again from here. Note that I got the editing tool. So this is my copy of this handout now. I could actually be marking this up at the front of the room with the students if I chose to as well. So as I say from here, if I had students logged in, we would see all their little screens here with fairly live edits of what they're doing. It can take a few seconds for the system to catch up. So it might not be 100% live, but for the most part, you'll see what they're doing. You can click on the little small icons that you can see to get a larger view of any of the students. So if you're projecting it at the front and you want to highlight somebody's work, you can go here, touch their little screen and show that to everybody. Something else you can do is change the pacing to student, and that's going to actually allow the students to work through the pages on their own. And I'm just going to go back to this one because you see I have the setup button. This is where I would go in to put students onto teams. Unfortunately, unless you have at least 2 students logged in, it won't get you past this step. But from here, I would go in, it would show me my students, and I could ask it to randomly put them in teams. I can tell it how many teams or how many on a team, and it will give them that handout as a group to work on. Student paste, as I say, means they can toggle like I'm doing here between the different pages. Teacher paste means we are working through each of these slides one at a time. Everybody's on this handout. So when they are done, they are just waiting. They actually have a way to indicate that they are done. And then when you're looking at the progress page, a nice little green check mark appears on their little icon, letting you know that, hey, teacher, I'm done this now. So once everybody's checked off, you know that you can move forward with the lesson. When a lesson is set to student pacing, you can close out of Lumio yourself. And when the students come in, they will have access to that lesson. Now, if you launch another lesson, that will end the previously launched lesson. So you can't give students Lumio files en masse. You can't say, here's your week's assignments, and there's 3 Lumio lessons to do. That's just not how Lumio works. You need to launch the lessons from that homepage. That puts the lesson into the hellosmart.com under your pin, and it only holds 1 lesson at a time. So students can work on this independently outside class, but you have to have started the lesson and then left it open and not started any other lessons in the meantime. I'm just going to go ahead and end this lesson now. So you'll just close this to show you where I went. If I click on the menu bar, I can end the lesson right here. Immediately, the students will get a screen telling them that it's waiting for their teacher to start an activity, and they will get that screen at your login until you do actually start another activity. From here, there's some other options. You can't download a Lumio file as anything else. So you can't export it as a PDF. You could download um, you can't download it into your computer. If you download it out of Google Drive, Smart Notebook will recognize it. So that is one way to take something from Lumio out to Notebook. And from here, we can share it. This is giving a sharing link, make a copy, etc. And then just go ahead and end this lesson. So that takes me back to the Lumio homepage. And now this lesson, if I don't start anything else, I set that to student pacing. That means anybody who logs in goes to hellosmart.com, logs in with my class ID, is actually going to be working in this parts of speech worksheet that I just finished. A really great place to start if you're thinking about some individual student handouts is to check out the manipulatives and graphic organizers that are just pre-built in here. I'll just click on the manipulatives as a start. Really disappointing that you don't see the Canadian coins here. There is a manipulative in the I want to say the Smart Exchange. That's not what it's called anymore. There is a Canadian coins manipulative in the Explore resources, and I have saved it in a Lumio folder in our shared drive as well. So the Canadian coins are available. They're just not here in this interface. But here are some quick startings. Let's just pick the sorting shapes. So this will come in with it's probably got some infinite cloners and things set up. They can be used as is or edited at will. So whether you're just using these as exemplars and building off, there's some really great things to start with in there. So yeah, see that these are all set to that. Just gotta love the infinite cloner. And this again is coming in as a view only. Well, that's not very helpful. I want students to be able to interact with this. So this is where I would do my new activity, bring in this, go convert to individual handout, and boom, everybody comes in, goes to hellosmart.com, logs in. They're all working on this. Then from my teacher view, I can see all their little screens on my screen and see where everybody is at. That is a really quick rundown on how you can create an individual student handout or a group workspace or a whole class whiteboard with Lumio. I always recommend just checking out some of these ready-made resources, heading on over to the Explore resources and seeing what smart technologies and other teachers have been busily creating. Here's some algebra tiles and a 10 frame, tons of things already created. It doesn't have to take you lots of time. Put these in your Lumio, send your kids to hellosmart.com and watch them have some fun. Thanks for joining me. Have a great afternoon.